Today we'll be learning about discolored teeth and their management. The color of healthy teeth is primarily determined by two factors, translucency and color of dentine, and can be modified by color of enamel, number 1, translucency of enamel, number 2, that varies with different degrees of calcification, and thickness of enamel, number 3, that is greater at the occlusal or incisal edge and thinner at the cervical third. The normal color of primary teeth is bluish white, while the color of permanent teeth is grayish yellow, grayish white, or yellowish white. As a person ages, the color of teeth changes to more yellow or grayish yellow due to increase in dentine thickness and decrease in enamel thickness. Discoloration can be classified into intrinsic and extrinsic, and there can be a combination of both also. Now, what is extrinsic staining? Extrinsic discoloration or staining is known as a discoloration which occurs when an agent or stain damages the enamel surface of the teeth. That means it is a discoloration which happens on the external surface of the tooth. It can be easily removed by a normal prophylactic cleaning. Whereas intrinsic staining or discoloration is known as endogenous staining, which has been incorporated into the tooth matrix, and therefore it cannot be removed by prophylaxis. Therefore, intrinsic staining is an internal discoloration. A combination of both is multifactorial in nature. For example, nicotine staining. Coming to the etiology, for intrinsic stains, the causes can be either pre-eruptive or post-eruptive, means before the eruption of the tooth or after the eruption of the tooth. The pre-eruptive causes can be because of diseases or due to medications. Diseases can be like alkapnuria, hematological disorders, diseases of enamel and dentine, or liver diseases. Tetracycline stains and other kind of antibiotic use cause discoloration due to medications, as well as uptake of fluoride. Now, post-eruptive causes can be due to pulpal changes, any kind of trauma, dentine hypercalcification, dental caries, due to restorative materials and operative procedures, changes occurring because of aging, and functional and parafunctional changes. Now, etiology for extrinsic stains can be divided into daily acquired stains and due to chemicals. Daily acquired stains can be because of plaque, because of chromogenic food and beverages that can color the tooth, because of tobacco use, poor oral hygiene, swimmer's calculus, and gingival hemorrhage. The chemical staining caused due to chemicals can be because of chlorhexidine or due to metallic stains. Now, intrinsic stains, the pre-eruptive causes are incorporated into deeper layers of enamel and dentine during odontogenesis. That means these kinds of stains are incorporated into the deep layer of enamel and dentine during the process of odontogenesis or tooth development. They alter the development and appearance of the enamel and dentine. These kind of changes alter the development and appearance of both enamel and dentine. Reasons are due to diseases like alkaptonuria. What is alkaptonuria? It is an autosomal recessive disorder in which a dark brown pigmentation of the primary teeth is commonly seen. Then hematological disorders can be because of erythroblastosis fetalis, which is a blood disorder of neonates due to Rh incompatibility. Here the stain is usually green, brown, or bluish in color. Then there is congenital porphyria, which is an inborn metabolic error of porphyrin metabolism. Here both types of dentition, that is deciduous and permanent teeth, may show a red or brownish discoloration. Then there is sickle cell anemia, which is an inherited blood dyscrasia where increased hemolysis of red blood cells occurs. The stains of the teeth are similar to those of erythroblastosis fetalis, but discoloration is more severe, involves both dentitions, and does not resolve with time. Now, discoloration because of the diseases of enamel dentine. It can be due to amelogenesis imperfecta or dentinogenesis imperfecta, or other kinds of enamel hypoplasia and hypocalcification. What is amelogenesis imperfecta? It is a group of conditions that demonstrates developmental alteration in the structure of the enamel in absence of any systemic disorder. It is classified into hypoplastic, hypocalcified, and hypomaturation type. The appearance of the the appearance of the enamel can vary from relatively mild hypomature snow-capped enamel to the more severe hereditary hypoplasia with thin hard enamel which has a yellow to yellow-brown appearance. Here you can see an image that explains amelogenesis imperfecta, the various kinds of amelogenesis imperfecta. A is the normal enamel, B is the hypocalcified enamel, C is the hypoplastic pitted enamel, and D is hypomaturation enamel. Now, what is dentinogenesis imperfecta? It is an autosomal dominant developmental disturbance of the dentine that occurs along or in conjunction with amelogenesis imperfecta. Here the color of the teeth can vary from grey to brownish violet to yellowish brown with a characteristic usual translucent or opalescent hue. Now there is also enamel hypoplasia and hypocalcification due to other causes. These other causes are: number 1, vitamin D deficiency, which causes white patch hypoplasia. Then there is vitamin C deficiency with vitamin A deficiency during formative periods of the dentition, which results in a pitting type of appearance. And thirdly, there are childhood illnesses during odontogenesis such as exanthematous fevers, malnutrition, metabolic disorder, etc. that also affect teeth. This image shows amelogenesis imperfecta. The first diagram, A, shows amelogenesis imperfecta of the hypoplastic pitted type. Second shows acquired enamel hypoplasia, and the number C shows amelogenesis imperfecta where the appearance is of snow-capped enamel. Now, discolorations due to medications can be due to tetracycline or a derivative of tetracycline like minocycline, and because of fluoride. Now, what happens in tetracycline discoloration? Discoloration of both dentitions results from excessive intake of tetracycline and minocycline during development of teeth. What happens here is that chelation of tetracycline molecule with calcium in hydroxyapatite crystals forms tetracycline orthophosphate that is responsible for discoloration of teeth. There are different types of tetracyclines that induce various types of discoloration, varying from yellow-orange to dark blue-gray. Then there is fluorosis. In fluorosis, staining is due to excessive fluoride uptake during development of the enamel. Excess fluoride induces a metabolic change in the ameloblast, and the resultant enamel has a defective matrix and an irregular hypomineralized structure. This manifests as either grey or white opaque areas on the teeth or yellow to brown discoloration on a smooth enamel surface. This photograph shows intrinsic stains. A is the staining by tetracycline drugs, where you can see a grayish blue stain, And B is the staining of the maxillary left central incisor from tooth fracture, from tooth trauma, and degeneration of the pulp. Here you can see a darker appearance of the maxillary left central incisor. Now coming to intrinsic stains, the post-eruptive causes. These causes are after the eruption of the tooth. They can be pulpal changes, where pulp necrosis usually results due to bacterial, mechanical or chemical irritation to the pulp. Here, disintegration products enter dentinal tubules and cause discoloration. Then there is discoloration due to trauma. Accidental injury of the tooth can cause pulpal and enamel degenerative changes. Then that can alter the color of the teeth. Pulpal hemorrhage can lead to grayish discoloration and non-vital appearance. Then there is dentine hypercalcification. It occurs when there is excessive irregular element in the pulp chamber and canal walls. This causes decrease in translucency and yellowish or yellow-brown discoloration of the teeth. Discoloration also occurs due to dental caries. Here, teeth present a discolored appearance around areas of bacterial stagnation and leaking restorations. Then, due to restorative materials in dental procedure, the discoloration will result from the use of endodontic sealers and restorative materials. The aging process. In aging process, what happens? The color changes in teeth result from surface and subsurface changes. Here, the age-related discoloration is because of number 1, enamel changes, where both thinning and texture changes occur in the enamel, and dentine deposition, where secondary and tertiary dentine deposits, pulp stones, etc. cause changes in the color of the teeth. Coming to functional and parafunctional changes, for example, tooth wear. This will give a darker appearance to the teeth because of loss of tooth surface and exposure of dentine, which is yellower. Now coming to extrinsic stains. They are divided into daily acquired stains and stains due to chemicals. Daily acquired stains can be because of number 1, plaque, which is plaque formation on the tooth surface will give rise to yellowish appearance of the teeth. Then food and beverage that are chromogenic in nature, like tea, coffee, red wine, curry, and colas, if taken in excess, can cause discoloration. Then there is tobacco. Its use will result in brown to black appearance of the teeth. Poor oral hygiene will manifest as either green stain, brown stain or orange stain. There is also Swimmer's calculus, which is a yellow to dark brown stain present on the facial and lingual surfaces of anterior teeth. It occurs because of prolonged exposure to pool water. Then there is stain because of the gingival hemorrhage. Now, extrinsic stains due to chemicals can be because of chlorhexidine or because of certain metal dust. The stain due to chlorhexidine is produced by the use of chlorhexidine, and it is yellowish brown to brownish in nature. Metallic stains are caused by metals and metallic salts, which are introduced into the oral cavity in metal containing dust, which is inhaled by industry workers or through orally administered drugs. They are different colored stains because of the different metals. For example, the stain of copper dust is green, due to iron dust is a brown stain, due to mercury dust the stain due to mercury is greenish black stain, due to nickel it is a green stain, and due to silver it is a black stain. Now coming to the treatment part for extrinsic discoloration. Since it is external in nature, so most surface stains can be removed by routine prophylactic procedures. Certain superficial discolorations on tooth colored restorations and decalcified areas on the teeth cannot be corrected by such cleaning. These discolorations can be treated by conservative correction, which can be accomplished through mild microabrasion or macroabrasion, followed by polishing with abrasive discs or points to obtain an acceptable result. Now, coming to the treatment for intrinsic discoloration. If there is mild discoloration, then it is best left untreated, since no restorative material is as good as the healthy natural tooth structure. If at all the treatment is required, it is done through conservative methods such as bleaching, microabrasion or macroabrasion and veneering. The patient must be informed that the gingival tissue adjacent to any restorative material that is placed to treat discoloration will never be as healthy as that next to the normal tooth structure. Now, microabrasion and macroabrasion. These are conservative alternatives for reduction of superficial discoloration. These techniques result in physical removal of the tooth structure and are indicated only for stains or enamel defects that do not extend beyond few tenths of a millimeter in depth. So, through these techniques, the stain can be reduced or it can also be eliminated. Now, what is microabrasion? It is a procedure in which a microscopic layer of the enamel is simultaneously eroded and abraded with a special kind of compound that contains usually 18% of hydrochloric acid, leaving a perfectly intact enamel surface behind. Now, what is macroabrasion? In macroabrasion, we simply use a flame-shaped carbide finishing burr or a diamond instrument in a high-speed handpiece to remove the defect through surfacing the thin outer discolored layer of the enamel. This photograph shows microabrasion, the process of microabrasion. A young patient with anesthetic fluorosis stains on the central incisors is seen in the first diagram, where a kind of compound is applied on it, which is known as a Prema compound. It is applied with special rubber cup with fluted edges. Post-treatment, you can see the treated enamel surface is polished with prophylactic paste, and final aesthetic result is seen where discoloration is reduced to quite an extent. Second photograph shows the process of macroabrasion. Here the outer surface of maxillary anterior teeth, which are anesthetic because of superficial enamel defects, this outer surface of the enamel teeth, the discoloration here is removed by abrasive surfacing and polishing procedures. You can see here a flame-shaped diamond is used and polishing is done, which is evident in the C part. And finally, the completed treatment reveals conservative aesthetic outcome. Then there is veneering. What is a veneer? It is a layer of tooth-colored material which is applied to a tooth to restore localized or generalized defects and intrinsic discolorations. So here a layer of tooth-colored material, which can be seen in this diagram, it is applied to the tooth to restore the localized or generalized defects and also intrinsic discolorations. Typically, the veneers are made of directly applied composite, processed composite, porcelain or pressed ceramic materials. Now, indications for veneers include teeth with facial surfaces that are malformed, discolored, abraded or eroded or have faulty restorations. Two types of aesthetic veneers exist. Number 1 is partial veneer and number 2 full veneer. Partial veneer is indicated for restoration of localized defects or areas of intrinsic discoloration, and full veneer is indicated for restoration of generalized defects or areas of intrinsic staining involving most of the facial surface of the tooth. So here the first part of discoloration management finishes. In the second part, we'll continue with the other kind of treatment strategies. Thank you.